Senator.
I'm quite amazed at some of the comments I've heard this morning in this chamber and this afternoon. Quite extraordinary coming from a Labour Party senator when Senator Gilroy said that street politics is not appropriate for parliamentarians.
In a democratic parliamentarian system, it's inappropriate, yeah.
Is the legacy of Larkin and Connolly forever to be banished from the Labour Party? Street politics is very important for anybody who wants to be part of a campaign to defeat what they see as an unjust and unfair charge. So when I hear the Labour Party say that street politics should no longer be, there should be no longer a role for parliamentarians, I find that absolutely outrageous.
You do, because it's not populist enough for you.
But I think the most outrageous comments that I've heard in this chamber today have actually come from Senator Thomas Byrne. And the reality is that
the by-election is on, Minister.
I did not interrupt anybody. I sat here and I listened to all of the senators, but of course they like to interrupt when Sinn Féin takes to their feet because they don't like what we have to say. So I'll start again, and maybe I might be given some respect. And Cathaoirleach, if I can just ask that the other senators in the chamber give me some respect and allow me to make the points that I am allowed to make. I have 4 minutes to make my contribution. And I'll say it again, I am absolutely amazed that Senator Thomas Byrne can walk into this chamber with the brass neck that he has and say that he was against the property tax when his party signed this country up to a property tax with the Troika arrangement and with the National Recovery Plan, their infamous 4-year plan. He is the same senator and the same party who brought in the universal social charge, 4 tough, gruelling austerity budgets, which had a deep impact on many working families, threw away the sovereignty of this state, brought about massive unemployment, hundreds of thousands of young people scattered across this, scattered across the globe, in America, in Australia and everywhere because of their policies. We have hundreds of thousands of people who are in negative equity, and people who can't put food on the table, people who can't put heating oil in their tanks, and people who are really struggling. All of the evidence points to more people living in poverty today than was the case 2 years ago, 4 years ago and 6 years ago. So Senator Thomas Byrne and the Fianna Fáil party have to take full responsibility for all of that, because he was a cheerleader for all of those policies and for those in government who are standing over those policies and putting those policies in place. But so too do the Labour Party and Fine Gael senators have to take responsibility for the fact that poverty has increased. Levels of deprivation have increased. And when Senator Maurice Cummins talked about dishonesty, I will put it back to him, and I would challenge him to a public debate in Waterford on this issue at any time of his choosing. If he wants to throw mud and he wants to engage in a debate on the issue of the property tax, I will challenge him to a proper debate. And let's remind ourselves of what Fine Gael said in their election manifesto. What they put to the people of this country. They were elected on the basis of their manifesto. If you want to talk about dishonesty, I'll read it directly. Page 59 of your own manifesto under funding local government. Fianna Fáil's proposal, now endorsed by the Labour Party, to introduce by 2014 an annual recurring residential property tax on the family home is unfair. And I agree, it is unfair. So before the election, Fine Gael felt it was unfair, and now they seem to think it's fair. And as the leader of the Seanad said, it's a tax on assets. It is not a tax on assets. It's a tax on the family home. There are many assets which are not being taxed. A quote from Enda Kenny when he was the opposition leader and when he was asked about a property tax. In the Dáil, the transcript of the record in the Dáil, he said, "It is morally unjust and unfair to tax a person's home and by so doing grind him into the ground. Indeed, in cases, it could probably be unconstitutional. It reminds me of a vampire tax in that it drives a stake through the heart of home ownership, through enthusiasm and initiative, and sucks the lifeblood of people who want to own their own home and better their positions." And again, I agree with the Taoiseach. It is a vampire tax that will suck the lifeblood out of communities, the lifeblood out of families who are really struggling. And I can see the Minister sitting there. You don't understand. You genuinely don't understand what it is like for most families out there. You do not understand how difficult it is for people to make tough decisions about whether to pay the electricity bill. And we see that many more people are finding it difficult to do that. To put oil in the heating tank, to pay the gas bill, to get the groceries, to put food on the table for their children. to send their children to primary and secondary school. And you sit there and you have an empty expression on your face because you live in a bubble with your inflated salary and you have absolutely no idea whatsoever. You have no idea whatsoever what it is like for those families. And you come in here and ask us, as parliamentarians, and as people who are being asked to support this bill, to support a grossly unfair, unjust, regressive tax that is not based on ability to pay. I'll finish on this point, last guy here, look. The family home does not raise revenue. The family home does not generate income. You can do that through taxes. You can do that through taxes, and you have any amount of options, Minister, to raise taxes on the wealthy, to raise taxes on higher earners, and you have failed to do so. Every opportunity in the last 2 budgets were given to your party to raise taxes on higher earners, and you failed to do so. And instead you're putting in place crippling taxes, unfair, unjust taxes, and being supported, by the way, by Fianna Fáil, who we all know are also in support of these unfair and unjust taxes. And we will continue to fight this tax outside this chamber, and I'll make no apology to anybody in government or Fianna Fáil for saying that we will robustly oppose this tax.